Let's take a look at Iowa for the second time. And ready? I did a little research. This shows you.
Was there much research to do?
This just shows you. No, there wasn't. This just shows you how exciting this race was last year. Is that it had to be, I'm just going to guess, I think it's the truth, the most dominant win of Ryan Blaney's career. And I didn't even remember it. I had no idea. I was like, I don't remember that. He led 200 laps at Iowa last year. Why did I remember that? It's not like he's got like 15 wins.
From the front row. Yep.
Yeah. So it was one of those races. I mean, Kyle Larson was probably had just as good as a shot as Ryan and had just as fast as a car as Ryan, but did something incredibly stupid when he decided to try and make a move to go in between two cars on the inside and the outside of him. And the car that was on the inside of him was Daniel Suarez, who surprisingly clipped Larson and wrecked him. And it was like, I mean, why would you do that? So, but again, this has been the problem with Kyle Larson. He can be hit and miss. He can make dumb decisions. And so that's really what did it for Larson. Otherwise, it was Ryan Blaney, and that's kind of boring race it was. Okay, so who do you think is the favorite?
Kyle Larson.
And who's second?
Hamlin.
Tied.
Oh, they're tied. I wouldn't have put them tied. I would have given Hamlin probably the 4-5, but I probably would have put Larson. Would have guessed, not personally, I would have guessed that Larson would have been lower than 4-5 there.
And who do you think is third?
Well, it should be probably Blaney, but yeah, I'll go with Blaney. Yeah, Blaney or third. No, really? Okay. All right.
Yeah, it is hard to believe Blaney's fourth here.
Yeah, no way.
So that's a good, hey, if you can get that right now, I think you should go for it. But okay, so as far as these drivers just here, again, I told you what happened with Larson. He was on the pole, led 80 laps, and he's starting to get his groove back, second and fourth in his last two races. So yeah, he should be the favorite. And I do like him over Hamlin and Bell. The only one that I'll say that will, and this might be a carbon copy of last year, and that is because doing the incredible hard work of research this week with only one racetrack in 1 year and no real similar tracks to go on, since Richmond is the closest, but that's in a couple of weeks, so we don't have enough Richmond this year. That what I found out just on last year's research is that you don't want to be driving a Toyota. So Toyota in practice started off on a Saturday in practice, and they only had one of the top 7 in practice. Then in qualifying, they didn't have any in the top 7. And then for the final result of the race, they had one driver in the top 14. And that was Christopher Bell, who finished 4th. That is not a good weekend for Toyota. Meanwhile, Ford and Chevy were pretty similar. Of course, Ford gets the nod because they won the race and Blaney dominated. They both were really good in practice and qualifying and in the race as far as results are concerned. So really, again, it's only one race, but that's what we have to go on with the next gen car, is that if you're into this sort of thing, whether it's and look, I just think you have to use it just like you would if it was 3 or 4, because that's what the data tells you. Now, what I wouldn't do is just if you like a Toyota, then go ahead and do it. But unless there's a reason to go with a Toyota, I just think, especially for drivers with odds like this, that's where I would be like, after what happened last year, why would I go with Hamlin and Bell at 4 or 5 to 1? Why? I just can't do it. I'd rather wait to see what they do in qualifying and practice, because I tell you what, these odds probably won't drop that much. So especially with Larson and Blaney around. So just if you're thinking about a Toyota, just wait until Saturday. And if you don't see anything different, Toyota struggles again, then just pass on them completely. What do you think?
It's really hard to give a preference to a manufacturer after just one race, especially with the new car and how it might work on, under different conditions and all that good kind of stuff. And yeah, Ryan Blaney dominated, and the Chevrolets were close. But what was remarkable to me is that just one Toyota finished even inside the top 15. So they were, when the race came around, they were just awful, and only one of them seemed to figure out how to make it work. So I agree with you. I'd wait. I think Hamlin, gets the free pass because of the streak that he's on, just having a great stretch of races. But Christopher Bell's been making mistakes. Christopher Bell's not been around, so no reason why he should be up there 1 point away from his teammate there. So, Hamlin's probably not going to change. He's not going to get worse or get better odds, I should say. Unless he goes out and wins pole, then he'll get worse odds. So yeah, I agree. I'd probably wait. I'd take somebody like a Ryan Blaney now, but I would definitely wait on the Toyotas unless for some reason you've got a really strong feeling for Denny Hamlin right here.
Yeah, because you're right. I mean, as far as Bell is concerned, he's definitely not on his game right now. So if you want to stick with Hamlin, that's fine. But Hamlin didn't do anything in this race, just last year, one race. But he does have 6 top 5s in his last 8 races with 2 wins. So he's definitely doing better than Bell. But Bell did better than Hamlin in the race, finishing 4th and leading a few laps. And again, as far as Blaney was concerned, he was on the front row, started the race right alongside Larson. Larson led 80 laps until he wrecked. Blaney took over and dominated with 201 laps led, and he is similarly to Larson in his last 2 races. He's got top 10s. Not like Larson, who has top 5s, but Blaney does have a couple of top 10s coming in here. And just to take a quick look, because as you were saying about different conditions and such, that give me an opportunity to peek at the weekend weather. And so far, so good. Matter of fact, there is no rain in the forecast at Iowa all weekend. I don't see any rain at all. So that's good. Sun, some partly cloudy. And actually, it's going to cool off this weekend in the country.
I was going to say, if it's anything like it is here, I'm looking forward to the weekend not being 90 degrees and ultra humid. Should be good for racing.
Yeah, 77 degrees. Which is
Perfect.
Pretty much like it's going to be here. I think it's going to be like 75 degrees over the weekend here. It's crazy. It's beginning of August. If it was the beginning of September, I'd be getting excited. But it's the beginning of August, so it's a fake fall. But it is going to cool off a little bit this weekend, and it doesn't look like the rain is going to be in the forecast. Okay. Does Iowa have lights?
It does. I believe so. Yeah. I think I've seen night races there before.
I'm surprised they didn't go to lights. Why not try that?
Because we're talking about the NASCAR scheduling system.
Yeah, I know. I forgot. Okay. Next up. Okay, so the next 3, Byron, Logano, and Elliott. And Byron wound up finishing 2nd last year from the 4th position. But unfortunately, he's still in a rut. 24.6 average in his last 8 races. And then you have Logano, who was 6th, and his teammate dominated. So that means something. But unfortunately, you're now getting no value with Logano. I mean, Logano at 10-1 on anything other than a super speedway is not, there's no value, because Logano has not been very consistent this year. Matter of fact, even in his last 8 races, he's got an average of 20.1. So no value there. Elliott at 12-1 though is value. I don't know why Elliott is getting 3 points on Byron. Elliott continues to have a good run going. He was 3rd here last year. So he was right there with Byron, neck and neck, just hoping. And they were only a second, by the way, off of Blaney at the end. So it wasn't like Blaney, even though he led a lot of laps, it wasn't like he had a 4 or 5 second lead. for the last whatever number of laps, he only led Byron and Elliott by about a second and a half for quite a while. But Elliott's going a lot better than Byron right now, and I think Elliott's still a clear value play. And so to me, I'd go Elliott, Byron, Logano.
Yeah, I agree. Elliott definitely would be the one to take. Number one, he's getting the best odds of the bunch. Plus, he's been the most consistent all season. He's not going to be affected, I think, by his 13th place finish at Indianapolis. I don't think that's necessarily a slump, especially considering he started 30th. So assuming this week he's able to qualify a little bit better, I think he's in store for a better race. And like you said, with William Byron, just continues to struggle. He's not had the results. He had one top 10 in the last 5. It's just not going his way. We would have thought he would have won a race by now. There was a time maybe a month ago, maybe 2 months ago now, where he was really hot and knocking on the door of a win, but never came through. And it seems like he's just still in that rut right now. So we'll see if he's able to turn it around in the next 4 races. But as far as this weekend goes, I'm going to go with Chase Elliott. Then probably Byron, and then Logano. And Logano only because his luck is so bad. Another tire failure last week. From time to time he has a speed, but this year has not been very lucky for him. Like last year was very lucky for him, especially through the playoffs.
It's not an even year.
No, that is correct.
Yeah, and the thing with Byron, I mean, this shows you we're getting no value with Byron at all. He is struggling for the 2 months now, and we're getting the same odds that we got with him during his hot streak. And he still hasn't won. He hasn't won since Daytona. So, I mean, it's just not the way to go. Of course, we know he can win. There's no doubt about that. But if he's going to beat you, let him beat you when he is struggling and you're not getting any value. Okay, so now we get a bunch of drivers that are getting a little bit better odds and bunched up here. Briscoe's actually not getting the odds that he's been getting the last several races, but we could see why, I guess, based on his result last year. Plus, he is driving a Toyota. And then you got Reddick, who's driving a Toyota, who also, just like Briscoe, had a top 10 start last year and then actually ended up. Matter of fact, I think Briscoe might have been the fastest Toyota in qualifying. And then you have Reddick, who actually, no. Briscoe was he driving a Chevy last year?
No, Briscoe was a Ford last year. So Martin Truex, he's driving Martin Truex Jr.'s car this year, and Truex qualified 31st for this race last year.
Yeah, so that's not good. Yeah. Reddick, I think, then was the fastest Toyota because he was 8th. But Reddick, remember, we just saying a couple of races ago, Reddick is getting his mojo going again. Well, now his mojo is disappearing again. So this has not been the best of months for Reddick. A couple of Toyotas there. Chastain, forget him. He's got in his last 7 races a 25.8 average. He finished 11th last year. Buescher would be the one definitely by default here in my mind because he's driving a Ford. And even though he finished 18th, he did lead 16 laps. So there's that. So yeah, I'm not taking any of these drivers, but if I was going to take one, I guess I'd go with Buescher.
Yeah, Buescher would definitely be my top choice of this bunch, and I probably wouldn't even look at the other 3, at least until practice and qualifying are done. Like you said about Reddick, he was on a pretty good streak, but 12th at Dover and then 29th at Indianapolis. Chase Briscoe had the back-to-back runner-up finishes at Sonoma and Dover. He started on pole again at Indianapolis, so all those things are trending in the right direction. But like you said, Toyota, so interesting to see, what they'd be able to do. Again, I'd want to see practice and qualifying, whereas Buescher, he's actually on a pretty good streak here. So, hovering around top 10, top 15 pretty much every single week right now. Mm-hmm. Were it not for the win from Wallace, he'd still be, quite comfortable, even more comfortable in the playoff standings. So I agree by default, Buescher. Wouldn't take him over some of the names that we've already talked about, but I probably wouldn't look at the other 3 at least until I see some positive signs out of practice and qualifying.
Yeah, it's interesting because when you think of how the season has gone so far for RFK, or I shouldn't say the season, just even the last, well, yeah, I mean, I guess I could say the season, but especially even the last couple of months, you wouldn't think that there's a possibility that none of their drivers are going to the playoffs. You just wouldn't, because Priest has had a much better season than anybody thought. Kozlowski's been really hot the last couple of months. And yeah, Buescher's had a pretty decent season and probably deserves to be in the playoffs if it wasn't for other drivers who just go out and grab a win, steal a win from them. So yeah, I mean that could be a pretty big blow if they don't find a way to get to the playoffs with just one driver.
Yeah, Buescher has 11 top 10s so far this season, and that is more than both Ryan Blaney, Chase Briscoe, guys that are already locked into the playoffs. Bubba Wallace, obviously, as well. Tops Ross Chastain. And in fact, when you look at Ryan Preece and compare him with somebody like Ross Chastain, who's got a win and is in the playoffs, Preece has got 9 top 10 finishes. So along with 2 top 5s. So yeah, it is pretty surprising that they're hovering around the bubble. There's still 4 races to go. A couple good tracks for Fords as well where they can compete. So we'll see what they're able to do.
Okay. This surprises me actually that Kyle's 25-1, because that for even me at this point, I think if Kyle wins, he's going to have to just be lucky. Maybe he wins at Daytona, or maybe he gets a good break somehow, but they're not leading laps. And there's just, even when he's in a nice run of top 10s, they're not in any way looking like they're going to win a race. So I don't know why he's 25-1. He shouldn't be there. He's better off just being way below that. He had a water pump issue, did not have a good finish last year with a top 10 start, and he's sort of headed in the wrong direction. Berry, meanwhile, he is decent, because he had a good run last year, started 3rd, finished 7th, led 32 laps. I don't think Josh Berry is going to win a second race, but he's definitely better than some of these other drivers we just talked about, because he does not have a top 10 in his last 10 races. So it's not like he's going on any sort of major run either. Gibbs and Hocevar, yet with Gibbs, Toyota problem. Did not do anything in this race last year. And I don't think the 30, look, for Gibbs, a definite wait. Because even when Gibbs last week, he had 2 good runs on Saturday, and he was still getting 25-1 on Gibbs. So yeah, I don't think a good run on Saturday is going to matter much. So just wait on Gibbs. And Hocevar actually had a pretty good run here last year, finishing 14th. And Spire had a good run last week. Haley led laps. Matter of fact, Haley's actually, we'll get to him later on. He's actually been pretty decent the last few races. I know we've had some road course stuff, but and then Hocevar's coming up a 10th place finish last week. But I was looking at Hocevar's races, and so this is what I came up with, and that is that in his last 13 races, every 4 races he records a top 10.
Yep.
So that means wait, if he does not record a top 10 by Daytona, then that's the week to put the chips in on Carson Hocevar, because Daytona probably a good race for him anyway. And maybe that would be the week that Carson Hocevar, wouldn't that be fitting if he gets it done just before the playoffs as well? So yeah, anyway, with this group here, I guess I'd look at Hocevar and Berry, but probably not taking either of them right now.
Yeah, and with Hocevar, the 3 races in between each top 10, at least 2 of them are worse than 20th, and usually 2 of them are worse than 30th. So very up and down for him. I think the interesting thing about Kyle Busch that you noted again is he's had recent top 10s, been around the top 10. He finished 25th last week. He hasn't led a single lap since the All-Star race. Not a single lap. And he hasn't led double-digit laps this season since Atlanta. So it's been a long, dry season for Kyle Busch. Yeah, definitely looking at Josh Berry just based on what he was able to do at Iowa last year. And Hocevar would clearly be my second choice. But given that you pointed out the 4-race top 10 thing, he finished 10th last week. I'm not taking him this week.
Okay. Next up. Okay. So in this group, the one that clearly sticks out is Keselowski.
Yes.
So I definitely would take Keselowski. He was 10th here last year from the 5th position, led a few laps, and is now on a run of 7 top 12s in his last 10 races with 3 top 5s and a runner-up. And he is trending the right way. He's been better in all of his last 4 races, including 5th just on Sunday. And you're getting a big number here at 35-1 with a desperate driver trying to get a W. So absolutely, I would take Brad Keselowski here. And I really wouldn't worry too much about anybody else. So, yeah, I mean, Cindric's already got a win. I know he's teammates with Blaney. But, yeah, nothing sticks out here. And Bubba, I guess he'll win again in about 100 races. So
yeah, it'd be shocking for him to do it back to back, especially in a Toyota, the place that they struggled last year. Cindric, similar to Logano, fast car at Indianapolis, but tire issues, exact same thing for both cars. So again, somebody who might be able to have speed, but again, getting to the end of the race without having issues or incidents seems to be a problem for them. So Keselowski, without a doubt, he ran inside the top 10 all race last year. He finished in the top 10 in both stages and finished 10th in the race. So no reason not to go with Keselowski this far down the order.
Okay. What is Bowman doing at 55-1? I can't believe that. He was 8th last year from the 33rd position. So something happened to him in qualifying, and yet he still finished 8th. He's got an 8.1 average in his last 7 races. So clearly one of the top long shots to go for. And as far as the rest of them, I guess the only other one that would stick out would be Priest, who did nothing in this race last year, but that's a different team. So since he's driving a Ford, and as you said, he's got those top 10s, and he just had a 4th last week, yeah, I take a chance that maybe he has a good Saturday, and maybe those odds go to 20-1, and I get a bargain at 65-1. So I'd pump. Look, clearly Bowman and Keselowski as far as the deep long shots, but I think Priest is worth it, worth something.
I agree. Priest is worth something just based on the fact that he's with RFK Racing this year. And just we talked a couple of times already about how good his season has been. I would not be surprised if Alex Bowman wins this race. His teammates finished 2nd and 3rd last year. As you said, he qualified horribly. I wonder if those odds are a mistake. I would run out and book them right now if you can before they figure it out and correct them.
Well, every sports book is different. And the sports book that I looked at yesterday had Bowman at 35, but it was still even 35 to me is large, which is why I quickly grabbed it. So I don't know whether or not maybe it's gone up or not, but yeah, you're still getting a good number no matter what sports book you go to. Okay. Oh, and by the way, just so you know, maybe you're wondering why Suarez was 45-1. He did finish 9th last year from the 13th positions, but I don't think that's really going to matter much. All right. And now with the deep long shots, again, Shane is only getting 120 because he's the road course king. Then as far as all these other drivers, which one sticks out? Again, I told you that Haley is interesting just because of, he's had a nice run lately. And he did finish 13th last year from the 19th position. But any of those long shots stick out for you?
Second week in a row, I will point out Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He was 5th in this race last year, despite starting 35th, and I think he's at the 200 mark.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, he's won typically at the super speedways. He'd be the one to call out his deep long shot. But again, a 5th place run here last year, coming from the 35th starting spot, and he led 4 laps. So very good afternoon for him.
Okay, so you've got the first pick. All right. So what you gonna do?
I'm going to go with Ryan Blaney there.
Oh. Okay. Taking my boy at, what is he getting? Fourth odds. Not bad. Fourth on the list. Okay. I will. You know what? I know I don't do it too often, but I'll do it. I'm going to take Kyle Larson.
I think that's a good choice. Yeah, I don't see much below Elliott, so I'll just go ahead and take Elliott.
Okay. Yeah, that would have been my choice. And that was the one I was thinking about if I didn't take Larson. And I usually don't go with the short drivers, but yep. And I think Elliott's a good play. Yeah, this is easy for me. I'm taking Keselowski.
And I will go 2 for 2 on Hendricks and grab Bowman way down.
Yeah, another easy one. And I'll take Priest. So there you go. So none of us took a Toyota. Not a big surprise.
No surprise.
All
Too
right.
early to take a Toyota. We have to see practice and qualifying before we change our minds. And even then, they have to be very convincing.